Everyone, I have some late breaking news. China now gets all its soybeans from Brazil because of Donald Trump's tariffs. So you got to think, how much money did the United States lose over this? How much taxable income did the United States lose? So now Brazil is China's #1 importer for these soybeans. They're getting it all from Brazil. So how do you think this is hurting the American people? Because of Donald Trump's tariffs, China does not rely on the United States for this product. So basically, the farmers are losing, and the workers and everyone else involved in the soybean industry, which is also people who deliver it, transport. So it's a big chain, and they're all losing. So Mr. Trump, I bet Brazil is absolutely thankful for what you did.
No sympathy here. You voted for the tariffs, so I'm confused why you're confused why the price of things are increasing. You voted against your farm, so I'm confused why you're confused that you're struggling on said farm. And now you are getting exactly what you voted for. Trump said he was going to do these tariffs, and now you're getting those tariffs. So again, I'm confused how you're confused. Once again, it's giving, well, yeah, I knew that the bad stuff was going to happen to other people, but I didn't think that it was going to happen to me.
Donald Trump is trying to come in with a hammer and say, right, you're the nail. I'm going to hit you with a 200% tariff, John Deere. Do you want to be underneath a hammer? Because when you put a 200% tariff on John Deere and only a 10 or 20% tariff on their Chinese competitors, their Chinese competitors are now less expensive than John Deere.
Hello guys, and welcome to the J Report. In today's video, we're going to talk about MAGA farmers who are now regretting their vote after Trump's tariffs destroyed their profits. They voted for him, cheered him on, wore the red hats with pride. MAGA farmers stood firm behind Trump, believing he was the man who'd bring prosperity back to rural America. But what did they get instead? A brutal trade war, skyrocketing tariffs, and China shutting the door on American soybeans. Now, those same farmers are watching their livelihoods crumble. Fields once full of promise now sit empty, bank accounts drained, and many are forced to sell off generation-old farms just to survive. If this is the kind of content you enjoy, please consider subscribing, liking, and sharing, because it helps YouTube recommend it to a wider audience. And so now, without further ado, guys, let's go straight into this video. But first, let me play you a few videos on this matter, and I'll come back with my commentary. As a side note, all credit goes to the creators of these videos.
China is no longer importing soybeans or beef from the US. What's going to happen next? Farmers in Indiana and Nebraska and other states in the country are going to lose their farms. And when they do, corporations are going to buy up that land. The tariffs aren't bringing industry back to the US. Tariffs are not going to help small businesses. Tariffs are not going to help farmers. Tariffs are going to help corporations and more rich people like Trump. So you know what? Keep cheering it on, MAGA. Keep cheering it on, because you're cheering on your own demise.
Hey, MAGA, remember that time Joe Biden lowered tariffs on electronics and computer parts from China, and China turned around and stopped buying our beef?
Our very livelihoods are at stake, says every soybean farmer that voted for Trump but has had a family farm for 200 years that's been government subsidized and bailed out. Now you're growing soybeans, which is not really bought domestically as much as overseas, which is totally fine, except you've really not been doing anything for America. You've only been working for corporations. And now that you voted against your best interests and the best interests of people that don't share your skin color, you're like, hey, more socialism, please. And when I show you the big reveal, Caleb Ragland, when you see him, are you going to be like, oh, I didn't know farmers looked like that, farmers that voted for Trump? Or are you going to be like, there's Caleb, I don't know, let's see. 1, 2, 3. Give us our country back. No more money, dude. You're clearly not smart enough to use it. How many millions do you need from our government, the taxpayers, before you can run your business on your own and you don't scream to the government for more help when stuff goes wrong? Did you know that we all deal with economic ups and downs without getting handouts like that? Did you know that most businesses don't get millions from the government? We actually have to figure it out. And now that you guys are trying to take Social Security from grannies and grandmas and grandpas, I guess there's twice as many $70 a day, and they don't deserve it, but you want more, even though you've not been able to do this for hundreds of years. You've needed help and more money, and Is that the face of a guy that's going to get it this time? I don't.
So the farmers are complaining that they don't have any help. You knew they were illegal when you hired them to pick and do your farm, but you're not understanding why you're losing your farm. I don't understand it. My question is, where are all the white folks that said that these immigrants, illegal immigrants, were taking their jobs? Why aren't they lining up for these jobs? Nobody should be without a job because there's plenty of farming jobs. Why aren't y'all doing that? Come on, Method Man, head. What y'all doing? Y'all been bitching for years that these illegal aliens are taking y'all jobs. Now you have the jobs that they've taken and we're doing. Why aren't y'all doing them? I'm not understanding. And you farmers, since you voted against your own interest, what are you going to tell your children when you lose your farms that have been in your families for generations because of your bigotry and your racism? This'll all come up, I'm sure, in history. I'm sure y'all try to wipe that out too, like y'all trying to wipe out ours now. But we will always be there to tell them. You can't wipe out history. There's always going to be somebody who is going to tell the stories, and you can't stop that. I just hope now, for all you people who are losing your farms, that you might respect and understand how hard these illegal aliens are working, because nobody can do the job. We ain't gonna do it because we've already worked our times in the field. Our ancestors did enough picking in the fields. So this was for y'all, because y'all the ones bitching about them taking the jobs, but nobody's taking them. Nobody's out there helping your fellow man in these small towns, in these big cities. Y'all losing all this because of your bigotry and your racism.
In the recent election, Trump's message hit home in rural America. He promised to bring back jobs, check on China, and restore American pride. Farmers in the Midwest loved it. They saw him as a tough-talking outsider who would finally fight for them. He talked about putting America first, and they believed him. For many soybean farmers, especially in places like Iowa, Nebraska, and Indiana, he was the chosen one. They rallied around him, gave him their votes, and trusted him with their future. What they didn't see coming, that the very policies he campaigned on would turn around and destroy their businesses. Trump launched a trade war with China. He slapped tariffs on billions of dollars worth of Chinese goods, claiming it was time for the US to stop being taken advantage of. But China wasn't going to sit quietly. They hit back, and they hit back hard. And one of the first targets, US soybeans. China was America's biggest soybean buyer, importing over $12 billion worth per year. But once the tariffs started flying, China stopped buying. And just like that, a massive chunk of the market disappeared. Soybean prices dropped like a rock. Farmers were left with full silos and no buyers. What do you do when you grow millions of tons of beans and your biggest customer slams the door in your face? Many are still trying to hang on, hoping it is temporary. But month after month, the losses are piling up. It is a gut punch that keeps getting worse, and it's all coming from the very person they had supported. Trump administration also cut out bailout payments, billions in subsidies meant to help farmers survive the trade war. The payments in the first place were nowhere near enough. Some farmers got checks that barely covered their seed costs. Others didn't qualify at all. Trump has called farmers to be patient, and many of them are. They're waiting, hoping and believing that this is only temporary. But the global market doesn't pause for American politics. While they're waiting, Brazil has swooped in and is taking over the Chinese soybean market. China has started building long-term relationships with South American growers. In that business, gone. Probably forever. So even after the dust from the trade war has settled, those farmers will never fully recover. The customer they're losing will never come back. And now, some of those same farmers are realizing the damage is permanent and self-inflicted. Farm bankruptcies has skyrocketed. In Nebraska, it is projected that in the next 6 months, most farms will have gone bankrupt. Some states like Wisconsin and Iowa will see double-digit increases. These aren't small backyard gardens. These are multi-generational farms. passed down through families for over a century. Many farmers had taken out loans assuming the market would remain stable. After all, soybeans had been a reliable cash crop for decades, but with the China market gone and prices plummeting, they're struggling to pay the banks back. Their equipment is getting seized. Imagine working your whole life on a farm, voting for someone who promised you everything, and ending up bankrupt. Even those who will not lose their farms entirely will still struggle. They've had to downsize. And the worst part, many of them still can't say out loud that Trump was the reason for their downfall. They whisper it now, but deep down, they know who was the cause. They backed a man who didn't understand global economics and are paying the price for it. What makes this story even interesting is that many of these farmers still believe and will vote for Trump again, given a chance. Despite all the signs, despite losing money and market share, some will still do it out of pride. Others still think maybe he just needs some more time. But after these trade wars, the damage is already done. This isn't just a loss of income. It is a loss of identity. These farmers weren't just workers. They were business owners, land stewards, and community anchors. And the very man they trusted to protect that way of life had instead put it on the chopping block in the name of a tough guy act against China that backfired hard. While American farmers are holding emergency town halls and struggling with mounting debt, Brazil is thriving. With China needing soybeans and the US market off the table, Brazil is stepping in like a boss. They expanded production, boosted exports, and locked in contracts that once belonged to American farmers.
Over the weekend, China decided that they didn't care about the fact that Trump canceled the tariffs on computers, smartphones, and toys, and decided to cancel their imports of U.S. beef. And these are targeted red state attacks on our agriculture industries that are very strategically done. It's over $2.5 billion of beef exports. And despite the fact that Republicans have stated over and over again over the course of the past week that China needs us more than we need them, they went ahead and replaced us with Australian beef. Now, which state has the most number of beef exports in our country, you might be asking? The answer would be Nebraska, which, if you recall, said a couple weeks ago that they have a $4 million budget shortfall. The cancellation of beef comes immediately after China already canceled soybean imports from the United States, which directly impacts the state of Indiana. Indiana exports approximately $2.6 billion worth of soybeans, and 60% of them go to China. China replaced us with Brazil. But everything, according to Republicans, is part of a plan. It's the art of the deal. Trump is a businessman and he's standing on business. The problem is that everyone from Republican politicians to Carolyn Levitt to some dude in his garage in Topeka, Kansas, has no clue what the plan is. 3 weeks ago, according to Republicans, the plan was to encourage more domestic manufacturing in the United States. 2 weeks ago, it was to lower interest rates and to end federal income tax. A week ago, it was to end our reliance on Chinese imports. What will the plan be this week? I'm sure we'll find out. And as a reminder, Donald Trump addressed the entire nation on March 6th and said this, and to our farmers, starting on April 2nd, it may be a little bit of an adjustment period. Just bear with me. So to our farmers, have a lot of fun. I love you too. It's all going to happen. He told us all that this would happen, but you didn't believe him. And that's why we're in the position we're in right now. Our trade partners are cutting us off, the US dollar is collapsing, and we have still yet to hear a single infrastructure plan from Donald Trump. And instead of creating an infrastructure plan to rescue our agriculture industries, he has spent 21 of his first 84 days golfing. That's 25% of his time, at a cost of approximately $30 million to taxpayers. He is golfing 5 times more currently than he did in his first term. And if he keeps this up, he will have cost American taxpayers $520 million by the end of his presidency. And just in case you were wondering about that math, that is more than half of the $1 billion in USDA federal grants that he canceled.
America handed over its dominance in the soybean industry on a silver platter, all because of one man's ego. MAGA farmers didn't just lose money, they lost global influence. And unlike politics, markets don't forget betrayal. Once buyers find a new, more reliable partner, they rarely return. This wasn't a one-season blip. This was a permanent reshuffling of global trade. And those red hats, they didn't keep anyone warm when the money stopped flowing. And now, the vibe has shifted. You won't see as many MAGA flags waving on the farms. You won't hear as much chest pounding about owning the libs, because reality has hit, and it hit hard. More farmers are quietly admitting the trade war is a disaster. Some are speaking out. Others have simply gone silent, embarrassed, angry, and also bitter. On TikTok, once proud trans supporters are now venting about what they lost, not just their income, but their pride, their dignity, their belief that they had chosen the right path. This was supposed to be their golden era. Instead, it has become their cautionary tale, a moment when politics and business collided, and they ended up on the losing side of both. This story isn't just about soybeans, it's about blind loyalty, and about trusting politicians over facts, about ignoring red flags because someone told you what you wanted to hear. These MAGA farmers had every chance to see the writing on the wall and chose not to. Now, they're left with empty fields and broken dreams, because while Trump was playing treadwell chess with the world, the pounds on the board, real people and real families were getting wiped out. So what do you all think? Do you think these farmers voted blindly and did not really understand Trump's policies? Should the farmers have known better? Can rural America recover from this mess? And most importantly, how many more have to FAFO before people finally learn? Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section. I would love to keep this discussion going. Otherwise, that's it from me. I also have another video about Target talking to Reverend Al Sharpton to beg them to come back. And if you enjoy such kind of content, please click up here and enjoy. Also, consider subscribing, liking and sharing because it helps me grow my channel. But for now, thank you so much for watching. And until the next time, the Joy Report out.